Hey everyone. In this video we will talk about the British Tier 8 medium tank, the Chimera. Namely, we will look at its characteristics, highlight the pros and cons, and also analyze in detail how to play it properly, by the example of my battle with 5,000 damage. Well, let's begin. First of all, it should be noted that the Chimera is a reward vehicle for completing the second company of personal missions, and there is no other way to get it. Looking ahead, I say that for this tank is really worth doing personal missions. What's special about this tank? You ask. It's simple. Chimera has the most powerful gun among all medium tanks of Tier 8. The average damage per shot which is 440. At the same time, it has excellent accuracy and not bad stabilization, as for such powerful gun. That's certainly a plus. Also to the pluses of the gun we can include a good depression angle, 10 degrees, and excellent average penetration of basic and premium shells, which is 218 and 252 mm respectively. As for the tank itself, it's worth noting the many health points, and pretty good armor. Mobility is also the plus, but only if you use the turbocharger. Now let's talk about the cons. The basic damage per minute is only 1,700. That's pretty low. But overall, the high damage per shot makes up for this disadvantage. Perhaps, this is the only minus of this tank. The rest of the characteristics, such as aiming time and view range, I didn't include either pluses or minuses, because it's balanced, no more. Well, let's look at its armor. The forehead of the turret has 203 mm of armor. The bevels on the left and right have about 400 mm of armor and are not penetrated by any shell in the game. There are also various roughness and slopes that have an average of 220 mm of armor. There are also parts above and below the gun that have about 300 to 400 mm of armor. And, of course, there is a hatch. Overall, it's a pretty strong turret, as for a medium tank. Of course, in battle with Tier 9 and 10 tanks is foolish to rely on this armor, but rounds of Tier 8 tanks and younger this turret can sometimes absorb. The situation with a hull is similar. At the top of the forehead of the hull armor is about 190 mm, and in that part is 180 mm, but the ricochet angle. The bottom part is 150 mm. Chimera also has pretty good sides. If you put the tank at this angle, you can use the sides armor effectively against tanks with an average penetration of 260 or less. Overall, Chimera is a really armored medium tank. Yes, that armor is not particularly strong, but nevertheless it is there, and sometimes it can be used. Before we get to the gameplay, here's the recommended equipment build and crew skills. Dear friends, don't forget to like or dislike this video, and write a comment. It would greatly help to promote this video in YouTube recommendations. Well, now let's figure out how to play this tank properly, by the example of my battle. I played this battle yesterday and I managed to do 5,600 damage. And despite the fact that against me were playing Tier 6 and 7 tanks, I decided to show it to you anyway, so you can clearly see the gameplay. The first and most important tip for playing on the Chimera is to choose a correct position. And even though Chimera is a universal tank, and can play against both medium and heavy tanks, it is very important to take a position on which you will be comfortable to play. For example, I like that position, and I know that it suits for my tank well. There's a lot of safe space, and when I go out to shoot at enemies, they only see my turret. Now you may have a question, how to choose the correct position when playing this tank. In fact, it's simple. Just take positions near allies, but stay a little behind them, so they lose health points, and you, in turn, wait for a lucky moment and make the shot. But also don't be afraid to exchange shots with the enemy, especially if it's a medium tank. You came out ahead anyway, thanks to high damage per shot. You can argue that this is a battle with the tanks of the 6th tier, against the tanks of the 10th tier. Chimera can't do anything, but it's not true. Even against the enemies of the 10th tier, this tank plays well, again, thanks to the gun with such high damage per shot and good average penetration. And if there were Tier 10 tanks in this battle, everything would be about the same, only I would play more carefully, and there would be not 5,000 damage, but 3,000. In general, in my opinion, the Chimera is the best reward among all tanks for personal missions. This tank can offer you a unique gameplay and a lot of positive emotions. If you're wondering if it's worth the effort to complete the missions, my answer is yes, definitely worth it. Especially the missions itself are not so difficult. Friends, if you like the format of this video and would like to see a guide to another tank, write the name of the tank in the comments. Whose comment will get the most likes, about that tank I will make the next video. Well, thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope you found it useful. It's time to say goodbye. Good luck to everyone. And remember, don't play World of Tanks.